Hey, it's CJ Miller. I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana, and behind me, uh, Bossier City, Louisiana, across the river there. Normally, where I'll go when I want to watch a movie, when I need to do, uh, when I need a distraction from the day to day or whatever. But there's not really a movie out that I wanted to see. I thought maybe this movie Bullet Train with Brad Pitt, but it's like, it's going to be a big, you know, awesome action movie, but I feel like that's maybe one that I probably can see when it streams. Some high definition, ultra definition, big huge streaming or whatever. So yeah. Um. Well, let's see. Next month, towards the middle or towards the end of next month, I'll be moving into my new apartment, which is actually just a few blocks from where I'm living now, but it's actually new. That's how newer it is. It's like, whereas the building that I'm in is a classic building, but it's a classic meaning antiquated. So the appliances are older and everything like that. But I'll be moving into this, uh, new building, and I'll be the first person ever to be living in the apartment that I live in. And I'm not a homeowner. I'm a renter. My family were renters and stuff. So it's like, yeah, it's like I'm excited about that. But the process of moving, just the whole idea of like looking for a place. And I wasn't looking for a place because I was dissatisfied with where I was living. It's just that this is an opportunity that came to me. Hey, would you like the opportunity to live in this awesome uh, new building, state of the art, everything? And it's like, yeah, I would like that. So, but everybody wanted to. Basically, there's like 6,000 applicants for 68 units, and just the um, luck of the draw that I was one of the ones that got selected to be, uh, yeah, living here. So I'm excited about that. It's a cool thing. When I get in the apartment officially, I'll walk around. I'll do a little tour of the apartment. It's a little one bedroom and everything like that, but it's really neat. Like all the amenities, everything. It's probably going to be one of the nicer places I've ever lived. I've certainly lived in bigger houses and more spacious and everything like that, but I've never lived in an apartment that is so fresh and so, uh, you know, new. you know. Uh, and hopefully you get it. It's a nice place, but the anxiety of there were so many people going out to this apartment that I was kind of like, it's kind of God's will, whatever. If I get it, if I don't get it, and it's okay to have hope, but you expect uh, to be able to, like, whatever the answer that you ask to the universe or God or whomever it is or whatever you believe, your prayer, the answer that you get for your prayer, you accept it. You don't argue back with that kind of thing. And so I knew that the odds were kind of maybe I wouldn't get this apartment, uh, which is cool because there would be other opportunities. And it wasn't like I was like dissatisfied where I was living anyway. I mean, it's the same. It's literally like 5 blocks over from where I'm living now. So that's how close it is. It's cool. Obviously, that it's like, oh my god, like I'm gonna, the immediate excitement of yeah. It's kind of like, getting a little, getting your name pulled out of a little lottery hopper or something like that. And then begins the process, the application, and is this person, do they meet our, because there was for a few years where they were building it actually, and it took them, because they started this right before the COVID pandemic, and they actually shut down everything for like a year and a half and then started building. So there was a delay and all that. So long story short, the world shut down for a while, and this was part of what they did. So it's kind of like, yeah, they got back on it. Then they had my pre-application uh, and everything lingered on for years, and I'd almost put it out of my mind, you know. And then when I realized that the 68 apartments for 6,000 applicants, I was like, oh well, I'm not, that's cool. So I was kind of like, had moved myself to an acceptance of, oh, that's cool. Later on when I get bored with my apartment that I'm living in now, I'll look for something else at a better time or something like that. You make do with what life gives you, and you're grateful, you're happy for it and everything. Even if you do have ambitions and aspirations towards better things, you do have to have appreciation in your day-to-day life, or something is really, really thrown off. So, but anyway, so we started doing the current paperwork, which is the actual application, which that's where they start looking at, okay, does this person make, does their financial situation fit in with our requirements and this and that and everything. And it's like, for this, it was like everything really just linked up. And then I'm in a current lease, and so the lease in my apartment, they were holding this apartment 2 days before my new lease would begin. So it's like, okay, well, there's a 2-day thing there. Is, with everybody wanting this, is there going to be, is there a wiggle room for that 2 days? Either way, because I'm dealing with an antiquated apartment that I'm living in now, and they want to keep their priority for them is keeping their occupancy up, while the new apartment, everybody wants to get in those new apartments. So the priority is screening for the best, or screening to, for the ones who, you're not gonna get the apartment or whatever. It was so many qualified people that it was basically a lottery pool. So there's that. So, but yeah, so with that going on, would there be wiggle room? And there was. They were like, 2 days is not going to make that big of a difference. And I wouldn't have either. I would have like, oh, well, we'll just, whatever, like pay it and everything like that. But it's my mind, it's like, gets nervous about stuff like that. Then, of course, the moving, the expenses of moving, because that's expensive, So will I be saving up to buy a moving service, or would I be able to get a group of friends together to help me move or something like that? And I'm not one of these people that moves like every few months or something like that. I've been in my current apartment for 5 years. It's just, people hate to move other people. People hate when other people ask them. I'm always usually the first one. Hey, I'll help you pack. I'll help you move your stuff or whatever, So I don't mind doing that. And so, but yeah, fortunately, I have a friend with a pickup truck, and I'm only going like 5 blocks. And so, yeah, he offered to help me out. So that's kind of cool. So between the two of us, and I'll probably get a couple of other guys and stuff like that. Yeah, that's cool. That was a load off. That was, because it's like, because the building that I'm in, sometimes the elevator works, sometimes it doesn't. The freight elevator is completely out of order right now. And I have a queen size bed. And with having a queen size bed, it does not fit in the standard elevator. So I have to use the freight elevator. So that's not really something I'm going to be able to get out of the apartment. But the mattresses are older mattresses, and I was going to replace them anyway. But that's just, so there's always like little bitty things when you're going through a moving process. There's always that kind of stuff. So it's been, that's something that's been going on. But also next month I'll get to go to Oklahoma City for a night or so to see Pearl Jam. And I bought the tickets not knowing that I was going to be moving that month. And so I will, obviously, the ticket's already paid for, so I'm going. I will just not be buying, memorabilia from the concerts or anything like that. Like, I'm not going to be buying like $60 t-shirt and the bag and all that kind of good stuff, because that's just not, something I'm putting money towards moving, so extemporaneous spending kind of gets cut down. I firmly, part of this apartment thing that they've done is, and I'm over here. Maybe I'll pause the video and I'll step over to the apartments and start it back up again in a minute, just to show you how cool that I think that they are. I've made videos about them early. If you go back to my YouTube and you look at some of the earlier videos, you'll see what I'm talking about. But Shreveport, Louisiana, they're making a great strive to improve, or we are, our downtown area in order to increase residence population, which we feel, and I agree, is essential towards a healthy downtown, and attracting business and everything like that. We can have more businesses downtown, not just the clubs and everything like that, and not just the casinos and not just some of the shopping, but we can actually get some really awesome, anytime that you have a greater population in your area, you're gonna attract businesses closer to those populations. And so a denser population downtown is essential towards downtown growth. For instance, the area that I'm living in used to be called the Bottoms, that I'm moving to, I should say, right smack in what they used to call the Bottoms, St. John's Bottoms, as a matter of fact. There was a church, St. John's Methodist Church, and behind that church, or anything past that, or was it St. John's Catholic? I don't know. I think it's St. John's Methodist Church, I think it is. Anyway, anything below that, and the land was a slight downhill slope, and so it didn't catch the natural breeze from one direction or something. I don't know what it is, but it was the Bottoms. And that was Shreveport's very first red light district, where things were not necessarily decriminalized or anything like that. It's just that whatever took place if you're gonna break the law, if you're gonna sell drugs, you do it within this perimeter. And that's where I'm moving to. Right behind it is one of the oldest cemeteries, Shreveport's first cemetery, so it's really, really close. It's a very historical, all this area. I love it. I'm going to talk to you about it in a second. I'm going to finish my little spiel. One of the things I do when I get anxious, I come out walking and I feel better. And sometimes I'll make a little video like this and I'll talk about it and I'll feel better. Everything that's going on is good. It's just that even good things that are going on can be tense, especially if you're also waiting for other people to that you confer with to validate the decision to say, hey, yes, you are going to be able to move, like the income requirements or this or that or all that kind of different stuff, so anyway, but I'm going to pause this video. When I start it back up, we'll be looking at the Bayou Grand apartments in Shreveport that we're starting to, like I said, it's just one of those things that we are really, really working on our downtown area, which is great, and it's beautiful. And if you're out there, come see us. We have a lot of good things for visitors to do in our metro area. And hang tight, I'll see you in a moment. Real quickly, these are some of the casino lights under town. I'm gonna actually just walk over here. My little tour of downtown. I've taken this little tour before. We'll usually go over here and I'll walk up, but I think I'm gonna go under the bridge downtown. This is underneath the Texas Street Bridge. Also, it is the Long Island Bridge, which was named after Huey P. Long and whoever Allen was. But I think he was like uh, a mayor, you know. Uh, so it was named after uh, a mayor and a governor. And then, of course, uh, it was, I want to say about 30 years or so ago, or 40, whatever it was, in the early 90s, they lit this thing up with like neon lights. And gradually, the neon lights succumbed to the elements. And after a while, it just wasn't feasible to keep them replaced. So we didn't do that as a city. And then some time ago, I guess within the last year, there was a Dr. Bukowski and his wife, and they started a privatized foundation to relight the bridge, and they did it with LED lights, and those are the lights that, like, when I look at the bridge and they change colors and they're really kind of cool. And it's inspired me to, in my apartment, and I'll carry it to the new apartment, use LED lights. But I think when I get some LED lights, I'm going to get some programmable ones so I can program them to change and everything. Be kind of like having, gently changing Christmas tree lights all year round, except for mine will be in lamps. And just for the hell of it, Anyway, I love this. And there's some really, really cool things going on under the bridge. But I'll check back in a second. Oh, and there's a lot. We have many of these shops, by the way, downtown. This is just a gallery. I don't know who they're showing now. It's after hours, and so they're closed. But all the way through, there's nothing but it's an art gallery, and of course, there's nothing unusual about that, right? Art, but God, I love what some of our people do. It's great. Our local artist. Hi. And so before I get over to the new apartment that I talk about, I'll talk about one more thing. I talked about how in the earliest points, that was one of the earliest neighborhoods in Shreveport. It was like the second oldest neighborhood. The first one being immediately downtown, and then of course that was the area. And it was, part of downtown, but they separated it from downtown and they called it St. John's Bottoms. So, that being said, and I think I've talked about this in a video before, but never just in a buddy shot. This is a statue of Cuddy Ledbetter, and he's like pointing the way because the neighborhood, formerly known as the Bottoms, became known as Ledbetter Heights, which is also the name of Kenny Wayne Shepherd's breakout album, Ledbetter Heights. Okay, so there's a historical site up here, a marker, and I'm going to read it. It says, built 1991 to the federal courthouse. Oh, wait, this is the Shreve Memorial Library. Used to be a courthouse. Okay, I thought the marker would be about this guy. Anyway, we all know this guy, and he's actually not buried in the St. John Cemetery. He's buried in Marshall, I believe, because I've been to his resting site. There's a little gate around his particular grave, and people still bring trinkets and homage his contributions to American music. If you go there, you'll see flowers. People bring flowers. They bring cards. I think what they want to do, and I know that I did when I visited, was I wanted to, be up next. I felt like maybe being next to that talent, because I feel that energy goes on even after the physical expires. I feel to be next to all that energy, maybe some of that would inspire the talent that I want to have as a musician and as an aspiring artist. Okay, so I'm going to pause this. I'm almost to the new apartments, and I'll talk about it. Hold on. One quick little pit stop on my tour. This is just about a block or so up. It's on the other end of the next block. This is a you know sculpture that a couple of years ago. It's been here for quite some time, but a few years ago it was hit by a car. There was an accident, and yeah, it really tore it up. It's a mosaic. If you can see, there's still some mosaic. So what they're doing right now is there's a call, so you can look for. And I'm wondering, that may be. I have some things in my apartment that I'm not going to keep, and I think it would be really cool to donate. Of course, I don't have like fancy china, and some of these are like fancy tiles, fancy china, but then some of it's just basically cups and cutlery and stuff like that, and just little interesting bits, not particularly of any value of its own, like plates and stuff like that, going in to make this beautiful art. Interesting, because then you get to put a part of yourself in something like this, and it's here forever, whatever gets donated. And then different little beads and stuff like that. If you just have anything like this, so they're taking the artist who's doing it. He's taking collections, and then we'll see what he can do about doing that. But yeah, he probably I can imagine him being the artist to do that. If it's the same guy, I should if I'm going to talk about something, I should know more about it, really. Maybe I'll do another work on that as it gets done to be a completion. I'll do another piece of video and I'll talk about it. But what it would be like, to have something like that done, and then like some freak traffic accident or something like that, just kind of like obliterate it, and then you don't know the fate of it. Is it going to stay there? Are they going to redo it? What's going on? So yeah, good for the artists that we've decided after a few years to really go ahead and more than repair, but really renew, because it is having to be done from the parts that were damaged. It's not like you can super glue that shit together. I mean, you've got to really recreate so it becomes a good half of it is, even though it's the same design, it's going to become a new piece of artwork, which is in general going to carry over, and even the pieces that were there 15 years ago, this is going to be an entirely new piece of art. It's a new artwork. They'd be like painting a new painting on top of a canvas that had previously been used, and maybe that painting had gotten scratched beyond viable repair. So then you work with what's there to build around it. It's great. It's awesome. I love to see life happening in an artwork as art is being created, because I really do feel like a song, poetry, any sort of performance is living, and you can see that because it's the spirit of the performer coming through as they perform on stage. Well, we don't always get to see that in a painting or a statue or something. If we're not watching the painting as it's being painted, if we're not watching the sculpture as it's coming into being, then we forget that this really is the result of living passion, and life is imbued with that. Philosophically, emotionally, and spiritually, the ways that really count, I think, even more than the physical, because I think that it's all tied together anyway. So philosophically, and more importantly, even spiritually, I think that life can be imbued in passionate art. And that's what will be happening to that piece. And okay, so I really am like one block from the apartments. Ah, so it's right about here where the ground starts to slope down. Uh, 2 blocks up from, it's actually 1 block over and two. Let's see what. Yeah, no, this is it. Okay, so this is where it begins. Right here, uh, 2 blocks up from that St. John's Church, which you can't see because it's 2 blocks up. You have a little flat and then it drops down, but that's the area that they would call St. John's Bottom. Anything that was below the St. John's Church. And I'm thinking it's actually, I don't think it's an Episcopal church. It may be a Catholic church. I'm not a particularly religious person. Right behind me is the Millennium Studios. In 2005, we had a movie industry in Louisiana that was quite robust, and television and production industry. It was pretty robust in the South Louisiana. And then so 2005 Hurricane Katrina, and another hurricane right beyond that, kind of like, hey, that industry's gone. But we had all these projects that were going on and were set to go on, and so Shreveport, our area, we received, and happily so, not wanting that destruction down there in New Orleans at all that was going on, but we were the recipient of the movie industry, and one of the gifts is this Millennium Studios, where many of the big blockbuster movies of the day were made. Some maybe not big blockbusters, but then some were, and it was so interesting. And then there was a movie, The Year One. That was a Jack Black movie, and that was made here, right on, like in town. Like I had friends who worked on the movie as extras, cavemen and everything like that, because it was a comedy about the year one, so it's funny. Okay, so as we're walking past this Millennium Studios, right behind it you'll start to see the apartments, and the official name of these apartments is the Heritage at Bayou Grand. We just call it Bayou Grand locally. And I think that just has to do with like the company, this is a company in many cities, and it's called Heritage or Bayou Grand. I don't know what the deal. The Heritage at Bayou Grand is the full name. So, and then of course it's got the name that it's going to be known by, Bayou Grand. So, go figure. Like literally, if I go look, if I take you around the front, there's a label. The signage on the building says the Heritage. But so it is the Heritage at Bayou Grand, but but it just says the Heritage. So whatever. Behind me, and I think Bayou Grand maybe will be the neighborhood, because behind me they're working on a mixed residential and commercial property. And then behind me are 4 3-story tall, very long buildings. Like, its building is as wide as it is, it's 3 times as long, and there are 4 of them. So it's a major complex of housing, and it's mixed income. There's some affordable housing, there's some government subsidized housing, there are some housing that are market, and then there are a couple of units that are however many, I don't know the ratio, whatever, that they pretty much can market for whatever it is that they want to market. So it's the whole idea is to, and I agree with this. We're working on, because we've been working on it since the 50s, desegregation of the world. Well, we need to all, because between the races. Well, we also need to desegregate on a lot of areas. Not that people can't keep their individual cultures and everything like that they want and everything, but we really need to just, in order to have true equality, we can't have people getting substandard education in their elementary and middle school years, for instance, because of the neighborhood or the quality of the neighborhoods that they live in and everything. And so, yeah, we want this, when it comes to like beautiful, there's a lot of social reasons why it's a good idea to have mixed income neighborhoods. You know what I mean? And if you're really, really, really stupid rich, yeah, you can do whatever. But we're talking about rental property here. There's no reason for that. So, let me just walk you up and show you. There's going to be this block behind me. They're gonna do that commercial and residential, and then right here, and there are already people living here because they're gradually doing this. But I was among the first, like the apartment that I get, I will be the first person to live in it. Yeah, so I'm just waiting to hear back within the next day or so which one's going to be mine, but I know it'll be a 1-bedroom. So this is one long ass building that I'm walking up. Right? One huge long building, and it's so peaceful and quiet here. And as late as the 1990s, they would not encourage people to walk back here because it was still, even though it was no longer the red light district, so to speak, it was still, the houses were dilapidated and this and that and everything. They've replaced all that. So, one, and then there's another one behind it, 2, and then 3 and 4 units, and so that's great. And this is some of what's happening. What a cool thing is that they have already begun to start to refer to this area, which used to be known as Ledbetter Heights, and then, or actually before Ledbetter Heights, it was known as St. John's Bottoms. It's way on back here, so it's a it's great, beautiful, wide, huge neighborhood, well lit though, so well lit, and people already living in everything. 40 years ago, even 30 years ago, I don't know that I could safely have walked back here without being mugged or drugged. This next phase that they're working on is going to be specifically designed for seniors. So they, like, and obviously it's going to be if you can see from here all the way over to the end of where I'm going to walk, it's that huge thing is going to stretch the development of it's stretching across these 2 blocks. So that is a building that is 2 blocks. It's going to be a senior living facility for seniors, and we say 55 and older. That's what that's place marked for. So that's great. And then I don't know, this is beautiful. I've never really, because they've been doing all this construction, so I have never come back here and taken a walk back here. And like I said, I almost assuredly, and it would be all for naught because I don't carry money, but I would have been killed or murdered or mugged or something 30 or so years ago. And this is a renewal, one of the renewal for the neighborhoods for the neighborhoods most in need of revitalization. Please let me be. Yeah, okay, cool. I didn't know. I haven't been back here, so I didn't know if this was blocked off with the fence. So, my apartment's right over here. Millennium Studios right here. So I'm literally living on the back lot of a movie studio. And for a while, the movie studio went dark. We had 2005 on for several years. We made many movies here. Mr. Brooks was one of them. Kevin Costner has made a few films here. Usually people will come here and they'll do a film here when they're only looking to do a film that needs exteriors because it's actually set in the area and time and stuff like that. But in Mr. Brooks, I think we were able to double our downtown. We were able to be kind of like another city, maybe Cincinnati, wherever it was supposed to take place, one of the northern cities or something like that, or Oregon, or I don't know. But it was it was kind of that was a weird movie. It was hard to describe it. Because it was horror, but not really. It wasn't like suspense. It was, I don't know what it was rated. By today's standards, I don't think it would be over a PG-13. I mean, it wasn't exclusively verbally vulgar. And as far as gruesomeness, you see a lot more gruesomeness on TV, even on network TV. I can tell that I still hear the train, but I'm outside. But that train is like 5 or 6 blocks over. Inside of the building, I would barely notice it. So, But yeah, trains are loud anywhere you go. If you have trains coming through your town or you live anywhere near your train. We just happen to live in an area. We've got train tracks running off. Let's see, north and south, east and west. I don't know. I don't know why there couldn't be like a couple of major trainways, and then, but whatever. The railroads preceded the highways, I'll tell you that. So they were responsible. And then, so I've made the block. So that's a lot of those four buildings. That's Bayou Grand. That's a lot of apartments, more than I thought initially. But there are 68 units. The apartments inside. Where I live now, it's a 1-bedroom, and it is basically 625 feet floor space, I think. And I think this apartment over here is going to be just shy of 700 feet. I want to say roughly 675 square feet. So, and those are the things that they list in the schematics, and then of course as things get developed, there may or may, I don't know how architecture works or transitioning from scale to schematic, but I would imagine you do lose a slight amount of estimated space depending upon as you study. Because what I got these figures off of were the original artist renderings, and then maybe that was submitted, and then maybe they looked at the blueprints and they had to maybe adjust blueprints for, well, the walls need to be thicker and this and that, and wherever it is. So you either gain or you lose a little bit of square footage in your flooring. But so I don't know. I have too many tradesmen friends that I know that like make me think OCD about stuff like that, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. So 675 square foot. That's what the apartment's gonna be. That's what the apartment is. It's got everything except me, but it's going to by the end of next month. I'm so happy. That being said, I am so relaxed having taken this walk. If you couldn't tell at the beginning of the video, I was dealing with some anxiety well, not anxiety, but the sudden, oh my God, I didn't realize how tense I'd been while I was doing all the paperwork and all the footwork and everything that goes along with it. And then it was like, gee, now that all that's completed and it's and that it's done, and then I have my answer and it's an affirmative, and I'm really thrilled, and there's that excitement and exhilaration, and then oh my God, but could something go wrong and this and that. But yeah, it's now the release of that and the acceptance of, because sometimes when you get tense or you get nervous about a result that you want to have, you know, sometimes I think it's easier for people to accept the loss. Okay, this is something I wanted and I can't have it. Okay, it's hard, but the inevitability, I'm gonna have to accept that. Well, sometimes that is easier in the moment than actual coming to believe oh my God, I can't believe this cool thing is happening, when you really, really feel impassioned by it, and you really hope and want that, and desire for it. So in the moment when you get your affirmation, then it's like, oh my God, you know, it's wow, God, it's you know what I mean. And so sometimes that processing that can be, even though it's a good thing, more emotionally and spiritually, oh my God, that took a lot out. I will tell you this, there wasn't too many times ever since they started this in the last 3 years, including the times when there was the thickest part of the pandemic when people weren't working. From the time that they began planning this, I would walk past that property and want for it, you know. And it's with it's a great deal of gratitude that I'm happy for the opportunity, and between God and then between the hope that I have, I don't know that I have manifested for anything as long as I have for that apartment. So, and then there's a little part of me that thinks maybe if I post this video on YouTube, and then if one little thing falls through and I lose the apartment, you know, that oh my God, I'm gonna look foolish having gone on for the better part of an hour about this desire, this want that I dared to have, and then it fell through, and public disappointment and all that kind of good stuff. Nothing scandalous, but would I look foolish? But I think I'm going to share the video. I'm making the video. The benefit of is that without fear, I'm going to release the video and accept the win, accept the affirmation, because that's the part of this that can be difficult. This type of wonderful affirmation is to accept that the answer is yes, and to accept the the actualization of a reality being true. You know what I mean? So, and to relax and to experience and to achieve in that, all the good things, everything, what can be said about that? Just to accept that the answer is yes. The difficult part is letting go of the possibility, the fear that up until you get that definite yes, something could go wrong, and that fear that you're going to lose out, that you're not, that, you know what I mean, that you're not going to be able to have what you want to have. And that can be the fear of not getting the desired result, can be overwhelming when you invest so much of your energy into praying and manifesting into your life something that you want to happen. But if you get angry at somebody and you really, really are mad at somebody and you think a bad thing about them and you say, hey, karma's going to get them and they're going to get what they deserve, and they do, that's a form of manifestation. You can turn that energy into something positive. You can turn it into something good. If you think your superpower is getting pissed off, and for some time in my life, sometimes I thought, yeah, if I get pissed off at somebody, I those negative energies, they just, you know what I mean? That's my, whatever. But to really, take that intensity towards manifestation and to turn it towards something good, and to really put a lot of, because I would talk to people as far as, I let it be known, hey, I want in this neighborhood when it's completed. I really do. From the moment on, anyone that I knew that was connected to it, I would talk about my desire with it and everything. And then, of course, there can be no string pulling. No, because I'm not a person, I'm a person who has a decent reputation for being a nice person, if peculiar and eccentric and whatever other issues I might have or whatever. But generally, a good person and a peaceful person. I'm a very conscientious neighbor in my neighborhood and in the building that I live in now. So yeah, so anyone that I did talk to or put those vibes out and whatever, there was no way to game this. It's like, okay, this person meets these qualifications, so they go into the lottery pool basically to see who's gonna, who are we gonna pull out to accept. That's the only way and then that's it. It's out of everybody's hands, and it's really just like rolling the dice. And it really was a roll of the dice that I got selected for those apartments, and haven't talked about it as much as I have. I've had to talk myself into a calmness so that I can go home, have a plate of chicken wings, crawl in bed, have a nice nap. I also needed to occupy my time until right around this time, because it's almost midnight and it's almost time for my calendar now. I will say some of my earlier energy was due to the fact that at dinner time, I didn't have much of a lunch, but at dinner time I was with some friends, and I had 3 scoops of Rocky Road ice cream. It went over my, it wasn't a cheat day for me, so I broke the diet, but I only exceeded my carb count by 10 grams of carbs, but still I felt mildly bad, because what happens with something like this, if you're on any way of life for whatever purpose, when you stray from that path, it becomes easier and easier to break the guidelines that you set for yourself. And I kind of felt that with this diet. It's like, oh my God, it's not a cheat day. What am I doing? But it was kind of like, it's like whatever. It was, but anyway, 3 scoops of Rocky Road ice cream, and I did not exceed too far, you know, like it was 10 grams beyond my daily allowances. And if I have a wiggle room, because I want to stay below 50 grams of carbs, I normally stay between 20 and under grams of carbs in a 24-hour period when I'm ketoing. But anyway, I was kind of mad at myself about that because I cheated on my diet, but keep it in perspective, you know. And then, but yeah, so but when it's midnight, my calorie count starts over again, and I will have some chicken wings, and there's hardly any carbs, like maybe 2 carbs per plate of those things. So yeah, okay, in the light now. I've taken this walk before. The walks that I normally take when I do this, I turn the camera so that it faces everything that I want to say, and I don't normally take a picture of myself with the items of conversation. But you see there's all this LED lights and everything that's starting to populate downtown. I love it, and it's been gradual. It's been I think the first thing was maybe the large Dalmatian right outside of the home of the Shreveport Regional Arts Council. See, I'm going to be able to really, the pandemic, I moved down here and I was going to get downtown and I was going to get situated, and then I was going to get acclimated and kind of dip my toe in the artistic fountains, so to speak, and kind of explore and find out where my niche is. Niche, is that word? Niche. Where I could find out where my groove is. I like that word groove better. It's easier to say. Niche. Okay. So niche. It's spelled niche. It's pronounced niche. I don't know. I needed to find out how I fit into this as a consumer, and is there a market for what I do? I do a lot of different art forms, and they're great for sharing with friends. Sometimes I can sell a painting if it's really, really great. I had not lately been asking people, since the pandemic, I certainly have not asked anyone to buy a painting, because as valuable as I think art is, I did not feel right talking people out of money, and money was tight, and our economy, I'm still concerned about that. So yeah, but we're getting into a place where we're starting to do more and more, get back into our art. So as I walk past this Regional Arts Council, I'll say I'll walk around this truck. I take pictures of myself sometimes, and I take videos of these things, and I take videos of me talking, but I very seldom take a picture like this where I hold the camera up. So yeah, so this dog, and I can stand in the street, there's no traffic here, so, and in a second, this Dalmatian, and it's a Dalmatian because this used to be a fire station, and I think the Dalmatian just sort of like homages that fact. But it's also the home of the Shreveport Regional Arts Council. Are we going to change lights, dog? Like any of the LED lights, they're programmable. I was expecting this thing to change. Here we go. What's going on? Yeah. It's changing in intensity, so. It's just doing so slowly. Huh. No, I don't think it is. I don't think the lights are changing. The more I look at this Dalmatian, I don't think the lights are changing tonight. But they're programmable. They can program them to change. I've taken video where these lights change color, change pattern. I remember doing a video where I viewed it from that corner across the street. I viewed the Dalmatian, and it was changing colors, and I thought that was so cool because it's changing colors just like our bridge. So obviously it's programmable. That's neat. So you never know. That's why I like going to walk around and talk about things and look at stuff, because wow, new discoveries, and I feel better about things. So I want to explore how safe downtown Shreveport is. We hear people talk about gun violence. Well, gun violence is real. It's real all over the place. However, I've been downtown. Well, I've always spent time downtown, but I've been living downtown. And this isn't the first time I've lived downtown, but there has not been gun violence in the 5 years that I've been down here in downtown. I feel that downtown is one of the safest neighborhoods in the city. And so, that's one of the, and I feel comfortable and safe walking at night. The whole time I've been out here, not a single person has come up and tried to get money from me or anything like that. Sometimes in the daytime, you know, maybe there's some people outside, and maybe somebody will say, oh, by the way, can you have some spare change or something? But I think we get that in any city. For instance, and it's warm out. It's hot, actually. But yeah, but it feels great. If I were someone who was sleeping outside, this would be a good night for it. These Asian gardens, I love these. This is a great source of meditation. I come over here frequently when I want to meditate. From a distance even, we can see there are some things lit up. Most of everything down here is very subtle. You'll see some sculptures, you know, the hippos and things like that. Some, you know what I mean? It's a very blended. It's not just like one type of Asian culture that's explored, but a lot of different influences. So it is somewhat generalized, because I do know that there are several different types of Asian culture, much in the same way as there are many different types of American culture. And this is just one of the places where Asian and Polynesian culture blends and becomes part of that great smelting that is the United States of America, where we have room for all sorts of culture. Doesn't have to be watered down either, or, you know, dependent upon. Although it's going to be very hard for people to live next to each other and not influence each other, you know. But that's natural. That's not, you know, that's not nearly the same thing as appropriation, which is bad. Appropriation is used for exploitation, whereas a natural process of influence from people just getting to know each other, and that natural education of each other, information of each other's cultures, affecting that's perfectly fine and normal. Okay, so you have this whole area. Okay, so we've walked right on the other side of this church. This is so cool. I am so close in the new apartments, and then the new apartments, and then right next to the new apartments, the Millennium Studio, and then right past the Millennium Studio, which is basically right across the street from this Asian Gardens. And if you've taken this walk with me before, then you know that just past these Asian Gardens is the Municipal Auditorium, where if you've just seen this movie came out, Elvis, it opens with Elvis at the Municipal Auditorium. So that's his first gig where he meets his manager, and the movie's about the relationship between Elvis and his manager. But that takes place at the Municipal Auditorium. I don't think they filmed it down here. It would have been cool. It would have been really sweet for them to come talk about the Louisiana hayride era of Elvis Presley and really use the Municipal Auditorium, because we still have concerts here. Who did I see? Survivor. Alice Cooper. Alice Cooper did a concert there. But it's not the Louisiana hayride. They don't do that. They should bring that back though. That was KWKH, classic country radio, and now KWKH is sports radio. So they had a major change in format. Same call letters, everything. Go figure. Okay, but across from the Municipal Auditorium is the cemetery, and it's the oldest cemetery in Shreveport, and one of the oldest in the southern United States, because it actually predates the United States. It's actually some of it was native burial ground, and then it was just extended and built next to and surrounding that. So anyway, which is also a local historical park, so it gets really maintained and upkeep. It's not a creepy cemetery that's got like overgrowth and grass and weird. It's not like one of those neglectful country cemeteries beside an old abandoned church being real stupid and creepy. I mean, it's really well maintained. But there was a yellow fever in the earliest part of Shreveport's history. It was established after the township because there was a log jam, and they needed to clear the log jam on the Red River for safer passage, or for possible passage on the Red River for trade. And that's actually how we began as a port city. And we really don't do too much port shipping. But we got casinos. We do have casinos. Okay, so that's my little tour of downtown. I've done this walk several times. But yeah, it's a good way for me to get out, think, meditate, enjoy myself. I do love those trees, those LED trees. What I'm going to sacrifice from being up on the 8th floor of this high-rise building is a great view across downtown, because I'm going from floor number 8 to floor number 3. But who knows? Maybe I'll get a good view of something wonderful yet to come, because the neighborhood is still being developed. Like, it's great. It's awesome. And the Millennium Studio. So they made several movies there. Then the tax codes in California changed. Around the same time, the tax codes in Louisiana, the tax exempt status, expired and were not renewed. Probably because we needed that tax money to help rebuild after the hurricane damages. I don't know what it is. It's whatever. But it was like, that was a misstep. We had Bobby Jindal was the governor of Louisiana at the time, Republican governor. I think that was a misstep on his part. I feel like, and just in general, the state legislative branch definitely should have kept those tax codes in place, because even though a lot of production we're going to be going back to California, a lot of those productions, or we still would have had that extra incentive of do some more Hollywood production in Louisiana, because well, let's see, we had the 2 seasons of American Horror Story. There was a show called Salem that was filmed. True Blood was filmed up here, from HBO. I mean, there was a lot of shows too that we all know and everything. So yeah. Anyway, and if they weren't filmed exclusively here, a lot of these shows were filmed here. Anyway, that being said, I'm nearly back in the Fairmont apartment, so I'm going to go ahead and end this video now. I am going to go ahead and post it. I've gone over an hour. I think this is probably the longest video that I've made, and basically what that means is that I was tense, I needed to walk, and I needed to talk, and I do feel better. So for whatever reason, move a muscle, change a thought. That old adage is very true. Love you. Have a very blessed night. Love and light. Goodbye. God bless.